Unified, Chapter 5, Dealing with Uninvited Influences. You cannot overemphasize the importance now of keeping yourself clear of uninvited influences. This week, you examine these influences a little further and you develop another tool to deal with them. Throughout your life, you have experienced these influences. In your own life, they account for these numerous times you weren't yourself. You really weren't totally yourself. They also explain some of the periodic irritational behavior of your family and friends. Later in this course, you will learn how to help others under the influence of uninvited influences. This week, however, you're going to continue to focus on yourself. Have you ever awakened after a full night's rest exhausted? Was it an effort to smile? Did the least little provocation set you off? Chances are this was an uninvited influence. Have you experienced a sudden change in the mood from ease and happiness to irritability and impatience? At the time, you feel justified in your nastiness and negativity. But in retrospect, it seemed uncalled for. Chances are this was an uninvited influence. Have you ever blown up on a loved one only to feel terribly sorry later on? The chances are this was an uninvited influence. Have you ever been in the mood of fear without being able to pinpoint it? Or maybe the fear was concrete, but of something that you were usually not afraid of. Chances are this was an uninvited influence. Have you ever fantasized dangerous or foolish actions that you know you would never do in your right mind? Chances are this was an uninvited influence. Not all of your fears, irrational behavior, weird thoughts, bursts of anger, and periods of exhaustion are caused by uninvited influences. They can also be your own stress, your own imagination in illusion. It can be your own imperfect thinking that needs to be healed. However, far too often, it's the stress and fearful thoughts of the others that you're allowing to influence you. Note the word allowing. Nothing can influence you without your express or tacit approval. Nothing. Out of ignorance, you have allowed these influences in your life. Influences that have made you miserable. Even more significant, they have built the barrier high and stronger between you and your higher self. We must not look upon the uninvited influences with scorn. No, they are loving creatures of God, just as you are. They are just frightened and confused by an illusion they have made for themselves. That is not different, except in degree, from the illusion you have built separating yourself from yourself. It is entirely possible that you too have been an uninvited influence for somebody else. In another lifetime, if you died in confusion or fear and refused help to direct you to your next perfect place. You could have hung around and influenced others with your fear and negativity. Think of any uninvited influence with love, as you would want to be thought of if you were caught in that situation. Send love while you say the healing words. This week, you continue to begin your quiet periods by healing any uninvited influences as you did last week. Then, close your aura to all except your higher self. Unify with God by thinking of some of God's qualities and claiming them for yourself. Start your communication with your higher self when you have received its signal. When the communication is over, you say these words. Now please give me my signal for uninvited influences. Sit comfortably, relaxed, open, and receptive. Wait for some physical signal you feel or notice in your body. This is a signal your higher self will give you when you are under uninvited influence. It is usually unpleasant, such as a slight pain somewhere, or slight nausea, or slight dizziness, or uncomfortable sound or vision. However, it's not necessary that it can be unpleasant. It can be a twitch somewhere on your body, a definite movement, a warm or cold feeling someplace, or a sense of numbness. As with the signal from your higher self, this uninvited influence signal can be anything that catches your attention. So sit back and wait for it. When the signal comes, repeat the words with love that you memorized 2 weeks ago to clear your aura of the influence. The signal will go away. If it doesn't, that means there is another uninvited influence. So again repeat the words with love. The thoughts of uninvited influences are in forms of energy bubbles of negativity, fear, worry, concern, or anger. These bubbles may continue even after the uninvited influence is healed. Therefore, from now on, after you've healed the influence, say, I send love and light to any thought form around me. After all these negative thought forms really are feeding us problems, these healing words are also to be repeated in crowds when you have closed your aura. This is your exercise for each quiet period this week. Ask for your uninvited influence signal, then get rid of the signal by reciting your memorized words to heal the influence. Just because you have a signal for uninvited influences doesn't mean you can let your guard down. The signal will only come to you when you normally wouldn't know about the influence. So continue with your practice of repeating the formula when you feel you need to. Usually, the need arises with strong thought. I have an uninvited influence. But it can simply be symptoms of exhaustion, fear, irritability, etc. For most people, the concept of these uninvited influences is a very foreign notion. It smacks of ghost stories, supernatural, witches, goblins, and sorcery. If the concept bothers you, keep an open mind and do this part of the lesson mechanically. When your life changes, when your heart refills with love, and when you feel a burden lifted with the healing of each uninvited influence, those preconceived notions will vanish. To get rid of yourself of the uninvited influences is a giant step in being and staying unified. In your activity this week, continue to develop the habit of closing your aura to all except your higher self. Continue to send love from your heart wherever you go, whenever you think about it, to anyone or anything. When you go to bed, continue to alternate the practice of sending love and unifying with God's qualities. Continue to give thanks to your higher self for its communication of truth to you. Thank you, higher self, for giving you the uninvited influence signal and for helping you keep your aura clear. It may seem that you are taking on more and more. Very soon, these practices will be so much a part of your life that nothing is being done at all. They'll be as natural as drinking, eating, or sleeping. End of chapter 5. Unified.